Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. Today I'm bringing to you my video on Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I'm not going to review this book because I have no idea how to review this one because it was such a fine spiritual experience in every aspect, and also many of you guys have been asking me to talk about this for quite a while now. It's been 2 weeks since I finished reading the book. I read it in March and I've been trying to summarize the book for myself for the past 2 weeks because it has a lot of things that are put into it by the author, and also since it is the life story of the author himself, I don't think it'll be appropriate for me to review the book because it's the life of a person. It's not a story, or if it's not a biography that is put forward by some other person. So without any further ado, let's get into the video, and I'll be talking about some of the things which I do think have the capacity to change the lives of millions of people, as well as some things which we can incorporate from this book into our daily lives in order to make our lives even more positive and spiritual and better in every aspect. Now in this book, the author Paramahansa Yogananda talks about his life from being a child to the time during which he got the opportunity to spread this concept called Kriya Yoga to the Western countries, especially in the US rather than any of the other Western countries, and how this concept of Kriya Yoga was found by the ancient yogis of India and how that concept was passed on for the further generations through multiple gurus. And when it was on the verge of extinction, there are certain people who revived the concept and art and passed it on to the further generations. There are multiple instances during which the power and capacity of Kriya Yoga to change one's perspective as well as life is very well shown in this one, and all the things that the author talks about are from his own experience with the gurus that he has trained with and his own guru, who is Sri Yukteswar. While we are reading this book, we get to see the lineage of the gurus. That is, the author himself has been a guru of Kriya Yoga for multiple people across the world, but his guru was this yogi called Sri Yukteswar, who was a disciple of an older guru called Lahiri Mahasaya, who the author's family has been worshipping as a spiritual guru for the past few generations. And another thing which I liked about all these things is that all these spiritual gurus and their lineage is shown as a proper chain from the first point to the last one. Now the chain actually starts from Babaji, who's the highest point of the spiritual guru that is shown in this book, and from him we get the Kriya Yoga concept being passed on across generations through the three other gurus whom I said before. And I should say, more than anyone else, the author himself and his guru, that is his direct guru, Sri Yukteswar, are the only persons whom we see practicing Kriya Yoga and spreading it on to other people across the world in this book. Another thing which I liked about this book was the extent to which the author has included the effect of his parents and his siblings in his life in becoming this yogi. None of them has been against him in pursuing the things that he wants to do, and I do think personally that anyone who becomes to be called so great has to have that sort of connection and support from their family and loved ones in general. The family can be something that they are born into or something they found for themselves. I saw that connection really well in this one, and I appreciate the author a lot for that one itself. The author also talks a lot about his parents and how they had brought all of him and his siblings together with all the spiritual beliefs and practices that they have gone through all the generations, and each and every reason behind the things that they are following in a proper way. It's not like it's just a belief, it's some practice that will enrich your soul and make you vibrate spiritually in a higher level. All those things are quoted properly in this one. It's not just like if you do these things, these will work out. Everything is shown with an illustration, an example, and it is made for the reader to be understood in a really lucid way. The language is not that easy in this book, but I can say the concepts that the author tries to explain are so high, but he just has managed to explain all those concepts through the story of his life in a very simple way so that anyone who reads it can very easily resonate with it and get what the author is trying to give us as readers. The law of attraction is also explained in some way or the other, in an indirect way in this book if you ask me. The author talks a lot about how our thoughts influence our physical being in multiple ways. Okay, it's not just like the things that we consume in a physical way are the things that affect our physical body and our mental health in a lot of important ways, but also the thoughts that we have and the words that we speak. There's this particular incident which the author describes, in which he talks with his sister who has had a boil, and he says that the boil that she has will get healed in a day or two, and it does get healed. And the next day, when his sister doesn't believe that the words that he said do have power, he just goes on saying that the boil will occur on the second day and there'll be a boil on his skin which will appear at a huge extent. The author does know the power of words in such a young age itself, and also it is not like he knows everything in the perfect way as well. His mother comes into the story then, and she tries to make him understand what is the power of words and how they need to be used in order to shape one's lives. It's not just specific to the author alone in this book. I do think it's very much legitimate for everyone across the world, because words have power. They have the power to change lives in order to make them better or make them worse. So I do think the usage of words in any particular instant in our lives is very much important, and that particular incident that was quoted by the author in this one was a really appropriate one in order to illustrate the thing that he was trying to explain. So talking about this concept of Kriya Yoga, the concept itself is not explained in the book, and the author does explain to us why it cannot be put forward here, because it is a concept which needs to be learned by each and every person by seeking a guru and learning it in person with them. It cannot be taught like the things that we learn through YouTube video tutorials and such things. It is something which we have to learn from a person who's already a bit experienced in the concept and get our way into it. So it's not explained in the book, but all the benefits that we can attain from by practicing Kriya Yoga in our life and making changes in really subtle ways that can enhance the quality of our life in multiple ways, as well as enhancing the experience that we have with the people that are surrounding us, has been explained really well by the author. He also just doesn't talk about the effect of Kriya Yoga on his life alone. There has been this particular time in his life when his sister has needed the support of him in order to strengthen her marital bond, and he has helped his sister as well as his brother-in-law in order to get into Kriya Yoga and practice it in order to make everything in their life fall back together again. It's like their lives are falling apart due to multiple things that are happening, just like it happens in any sort of marriage. But in this one, it is a bit heightened, and the reasons seem so genuine and so different from the things that we can see in normal problems that are involved in a marriage. But the inclusion of Kriya Yoga in that one also, and how it has brought two people together who were already together and separated due to certain misunderstandings. All those things are just subtle things that can happen in anyone's life, and I think that the author has made it a point to include such really relatable instances for everyone to get into this one, because as we grow in our life and reach certain stages, we are definitely going to face hurdles that we didn't see in the previous stages, and each and every hurdle will be tougher than the things which we faced before, and we might not know how to handle it. And he has shown that this concept of Kriya Yoga can help us in various spheres of life, not just to keep our mind calm and spiritually heighten ourselves, but also to make the materialistic world that we have around ourselves to the will of us and to make it even more enjoyable to live the life. Moving on to the experience of the author with the Western world in trying to spread this concept, that has also been talked about with a very limited extent in this one. It does not seem like the author is trying to rub something on our nose, and it doesn't seem like he's trying to flaunt the things that he has done in any way at all. It just seems like there are certain instances only which the author takes from his experience in the US. Okay, it's been like 15 to 25 years of his life in the US trying to establish this concept in the Western world, but he doesn't take that much number of pages for the number of years that he has spent and experienced in the Western world. He talks a lot more time about his time in India alone and a really short time about the other countries, because everything that he learned has been from here and everything that he has spread has been there mostly. And I do think that was a really good thing to do, because not everyone is going to be able to relate with the things that are happening in a Western world. I do think many people who are reading this book will be those who are from our country, that is India, and there will be other people also reading it across the world, but I do think most population that are reading this one will be from our country. And I do think the author has taken that into account a lot, because he has concentrated a lot more on how he has learned the things from here rather than how he has taught those things that he learned from here in the other parts of the world. Being such a spiritual book, the author does not touch religion to such a great extent at all, which is also something which I liked. Even if you're a person who does not believe in God, I personally do, because I was brought up in such a way, and I do think that is something that exists above all of us. I do think everyone also believes in that. We might name it in different ways, but it is there. The higher presence is made to be felt by us, by the author in this one, and he does not seek the help of religion to such a great extent. He does touch religion at a few instances, especially Hinduism and Christianity, but they are not like the backbones of any of the points that he's trying to speak. He's just trying to find spiritual leaders because they are easily accessible through religion, and just tries us to understand that the concept that he's trying to explain through those religious leaders. Finally, the thing which made this book very much favorite for me was how the author tried to relate with each and every normal person in this world who's going to be a reader of this book, because he just puts out all his flaws that he had as a person in his childhood and his young years, really well out there. It's just out there in the open. We can see all the mistakes that he has done. Okay, they are not like huge mistakes. They are just very petty mistakes that all of us do in our lives. There are certain things which are so easy. We know that, but we don't understand it really well, right? Only after experiencing certain things, we get to know the size of some of the things which we already knew but did not understand. All those things have been put forward as such by the author. He has not at all filtered anything. The writing is so beautiful that all those things that he has done and experienced as a very ignorant person, like most of us are put forward in a proper way, so that we can easily understand them and relate with them and try to make our lives better, because he seems just like a person like we are. Finally, I want to just tell like 2 or 3 things which you have to consider before getting into this book. The first one is the language. Okay, the language is a bit too tough, so it'll not be easy for beginners to read. You will always need to have your phone or a dictionary by your side, because the author uses a lot of new words almost in each and every page. And I can also say the richness of the language is something which just adds on a beautiful flavor to the book, if you ask me, because I do like beautiful writing so much, and it was highly present in this one. The second one is that you have to get into the book with a very, very open mind. If you go in with assumptions and presumptions from your life, I'm sure that you will not be able to make the complete good things that the author is trying to give to you out of this book. So go in with an open mind. Be ready to accept some of the things that the author is trying to convey to you, so that you can make use of them. Okay guys, that's all for today. And if you did enjoy watching today's video and found it helpful in some way or the other, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel, because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.